hope is a driver, aspiration is our biggest strength as a country, it's also our biggest weakness. For me, when I hear religion, the word that registers is tradition. To me, this BO, what we're trying to do at BO is so special. We're setting out to help young India consume knowledge in a digestible, snackable way and in an unbiased way. And I think we should not get carried away by the promise of AI.
Give the viewers an insight into how does a media company make money?
I will tell you when we find out.
Hello BO family and welcome to the 8th episode of the Barely Opinionated Show. This is a little different from our usual show. I sit down with Azaan, who is my co-founder at Barely Opinionated and the founder of the Hub Bengaluru, which is also this beautiful space we are sitting in. In this one, we talk about the future of Barely Opinionated, how we are trying to compete with other massive media organizations and the risk of the work we do. We dive deep into the media and marketing space and share some never heard of insights. Before we go ahead, please drop a like on this video, it helps with the algorithm, and subscribe to our channel with the notification bell on for more such content. So strap in and let's just jump into it. Welcome everyone to the Barely Opinionated Show. This one is a little different. I don't have a guest, but I have a very special person here, Mr. Azaan Rohit. For those that don't know, he is the co-founder of Barely Opinionated. He is the man behind why Barely Opinionated exists. Azaan, first question. What do you hate the most about your work?
What do I hate the most? I think it's what I love and hate is the same thing, right? We're trying to do so many things. We pride ourselves on running many experiments and like always trying out things. I think just not being able to see everything through fully, right? Like it bothers me because I have a little bit of OCD, but yeah, it's definitely that.
There is a saying in the cinema sphere called "kill your darling," which is basically anything you work on something really, like you put your full focus into it, but then at the end of it, you have to just get rid of it. It's a very difficult process.
I guess kill your darling. That's something new I've learned today.
Interesting. So, Azaan, you started off building a co-living, co-working space called the Hub Bengaluru. This is the beautiful studio that you see is of the Hub Bengaluru. Then you jumped into the digital space with the Hubverse, where you're building an agency.
I don't know if I jumped in or if the pandemic pushed us and kicked us into it, but yeah, we are here.
Correct. And throughout this process, you also found Barely Opinionated, you found me, and you wanted to be a part of it.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
But why?
I think to me, this BO, what we're trying to do at BO is so special. At the Hub, we make entertaining content and it's a lot of fun. But oftentimes we ask ourselves, even 6 years in, 6.5 years in, what is our purpose? What are we trying to do? I think at BO, what I loved about when I met you is that there was such clear focus in terms of this is what we're setting out to do. We're setting out to help young India consume knowledge in a digestible, snackable way and in an unbiased way. And I think that's something, how can you not get behind? Yeah, there are ups and downs and there are challenges, but the mission is so pure.
The mission is pure, but it's a very dangerous space to be in. Don't you think?
I know. I mean, doing anything important has its pros and cons. It can be dangerous to some extent. It can be stressful. But I think if the mission is pure enough and if you believe in it enough, I think it's worth taking those risks.
I think it's also about the execution that we look at, right? Because we are so focused on just delivering facts without putting in any opinions that we cannot get into a problem, right? Why other media agencies, why other reporters get into problems is because they are either bringing out something really fresh and new, or they are, giving out their opinions, which can hurt someone else.
Yeah, I think the media industry is infamous for many things, but I think when we talk about the creator economy today, we often say that creators obsess over the thumbnail and the title and the clickbait. But if you really look back, it's the same way media has learned the art of sensationalizing news.
Correct. By
repeating the most controversial part of a non-controversial story just to get our attention, to get us to watch more. So I don't know, I think like recently, even with AI and all of these things happening, it's like it's hard to really put your finger on exactly what new media is doing, what old media is doing, Is it better to be controversial? Do you need distribution? Like, it's all so intertwined.
Yeah.
Because if you play it safe, you don't have anyone's attention. Without attention, you can't make impact. So I kind of understand why they've always instigated a reaction.
Right.
But I also love what we stand for of not having an opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what sets us apart, and that's why we are the new age media, right?
Yes.
Azaan, tell me a little bit about your entry into the media space altogether, because before coming into Barely Opinionated, you had already started building the media and the agency side of the hub Bengaluru.
Yeah.
Right?
I think, I don't know, I think we can give it labels and words. We can call it media, we can call it content, we can call it content creator. But I think if you want to do anything today, you can do it better and bigger if you understand distribution. Even if you're not building a media company, you need to understand distribution. And you need to take advantage of distribution. You need to have an unfair advantage in distribution. Because if your entire business model is based on customer acquisition cost, which you have to pay every time, it's just not a sustainable way to build. You look at all the startups that are in trouble today in the funding winter, it's all the startups that relied on performance marketing. So whether you're building your personal brand, you're building partners, networks, communities, a business, a D2C brand, we have to, as an entrepreneur, you have to understand distribution, you have to understand it very deeply.
That's a good point, because if you look at a lot of the billionaires now have already jumped into the media space and trying to capture that distribution, right?
Yeah.
Like Adani bought NDTV, Elon Musk bought Twitter, Ambani owns Network 18, right? There's so much distribution, right? So I think that distribution is the future. You see even someone like Nikhil Kamath, right? If you see, he started his YouTube journey recently with podcasts, right? And we have collaborated with him. He's actively trying to grow on social media. So this distribution, right, is what is going to impact the future of it.
I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, we are all people that are trying to amplify a story. It could be our personal story, it could be a social cause. If you look at the way non-profits are re-understanding distribution, they're re-engineering their business model to be socially giving organizations. Content, it starts with content, it ends with content. Everything else is a byproduct, right? I think no matter what you're doing, you cannot not be obsessed with distribution, because distribution will just help you get there faster, better, and make a bigger impact in anything you want to do.
True. What are you most proud about when it comes to Barely Opinionated? What makes you, what do you think when you think of Barely Opinionated?
I think so many things, right? I think our approach, the way we have a lean team and we're trying to do, where we know we're fighting an uphill battle. I think one word that summarizes it is organic, right? Everything that we've managed to accomplish on BO is 100% organic. We have a community of over 200,000 people across platforms and brands, and we've had a $0 ad spend. It's blood, sweat, tears, and our understanding of distribution.
True.
And no matter how, Adani can go and take over NDTV, big guys can have platforms and brands, but they will never have founder mentality in the team that's building their distribution. They can acquire the distribution, but they won't have the kind of organic reach that distribution deserves. And I think that's where we have an edge.
True.
As a tiny player, as a tiny media player.
Tiny media player, right? And hopefully we are not tiny anymore in the next 5 years. But when you came into Barely Opinionated, I had already been sort of running it for a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
The year and a half went into, say, building the foundation and sort of building the concept and everything put together. Why did you sort of decide to come in between that journey and what do you see as the future of Barely Opinionated?
I think, like, for all the things that I still don't know about all our projects in the media and digital space, I think I saw clarity of vision, and I saw an actual ability to help accelerate that. right? So I think when we partnered up, BO was at about 20K?
25,000
about
followers
25K. It was only on Instagram back then.
Mainly on Instagram.
Right? And we were able to slowly lay the foundation to 5x BO's growth. I think back then we were pre-revenue.
Yeah.
We now can say that, we have a clear monetization strategy.
Yeah.
We're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube. We're just getting YouTube monetized, right? I'm so hyped about that. So I think there's like so much that goes into, not only it's the growth that is visible, which is, let's say, a 5x growth in the size of the community, but it's the foundational layers that we've set for future monetization that sometimes even for us when we're talking, it's like we're not making progress, but that when that progress comes, we'll get the dopamine. We'll get the dopamine hit in installments. It may not come every day.
True. Especially the monetization part is especially important for us because we are a bootstrapped company. We don't have investors. We don't have fund as such, right?
Yeah,
so,
and I think like most founders, when you talk about it, like a lot of the podcasts I'm watching now, everyone's talking about the need to optimize for profitability and how it's a very different mentality, right? I won't say it's easy for anyone to create growth at any cost, but it's a whole other skill set to optimize for profitability, and that's what the journey every founder is going through right now, whether you're VC backed or you're not. Right? You have to optimize for profitability.
True.
And I think that's the thing I'm the most proud of, that we've grown at a decent pace, but we've not burnt capital.
Yeah, we are not burning too much like other companies do to be able to.
We may be burning our our minds,
our mind, losing our hair. Nice. Now again, there's been a lot of talk about AI, ChatGPT, Midjourney, etc., etc. There's one news channel that has already launched their news anchor, which is AI based. Right?
Yeah.
What is the future according to you with AI?
I think it's undeniable the impact that it has had, it's going to have in the short term, and the amount of disruption it's going to bring to us in the long term. I think when the whole metaverse craze was happening, and a lot of people approached us as an agency or as a media player and asked us for our take on the metaverse, I said the same thing, that I'm very happy creating content in the 2D space. So while on one side, I think we should not get carried away by the promise of AI, I do think it's different this time around. I think this is not the same thing that happened with Metaverse. I think the skill set required to build something is forever changed. Right? If you needed 20 people, you need now 4 people, but those 4 people have to be the best 4 people. And they have to know how to use the tools available. They have to be learners for life. And you have to have a learning mindset, right? That's what I think we do here. Everyone's learning every day. We learn 30%, we apply 70%. So I think it's just the blueprint for how to build something has forever changed. And it's constantly changing every day. And the only thing we can do is just keep up with the pace and try not to, I think while not using these tools can be harmful because you can get left behind, I think over analyzing what to use and trying to use everything can be just as paralyzing.
True. And I think this is very similar to the industrial revolution that happened during the 20th century, 19th century, right? Where machines came in and replaced a lot of the manual labor work that was happening in the factories. And now same thing is happening with what we do as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I often just try to read about and upskill myself on, because at the same time as Ford is known for setting up a production line and automating manufacturing of cars, Ferrari and Lamborghini are still worth more and they're made by hand.
Interesting.
Right? Decades after the Industrial Revolution. Again, how this plays out in digital, I think there will be always a very unique value proposition to made with love by hand, whether that's a physical product or a digital product. But I think also this time around, it's not exactly the same. So
it'll be interesting to see. But we are also jumping on the AI bandwagon.
Oh, yes, in a big way. I'm super hyped.
Yes. You're going to be seeing some content coming out, AI-based content. You're probably going to see my voice being replicated by a machine. Let's see how that turns out.
I'm super excited. I think it's something that we just have to start and we have to keep playing with. And initially Rohit might sound a little different to you guys, but bear with us, because I think when we're building something like Barely Opinionated, it's not just about presenting the facts, right? It's also about allowing the audience to watch new technology in play, and as it gets better, right? We can talk about how AI is okay and it's good and it's amazing, or they can actually see the news we deliver to them with AI as okay, good and amazing.
Good, yeah.
I think it'll be like a parallel story to watch.
The process of creation and how it's improving. Interesting.
I'm super excited about all the stuff we have in plan when it comes to AI.
Interesting. I want to jump into a little bit on the political sphere of India, right? Again, the content we create is sort of is in the thin line of controversial and non-controversial, right? Just dealing with that pressure of having to always look behind our backs and see if you're doing the right job or not, or if there are any threats to our business, right? What are your thoughts on that? What have you thought about when it comes to such a thing?
I mean, I think we can all agree that India is a unique case study, right? These issues are complicated on a global level anyways. I was just seeing something of Elon talking about how 90% of Twitter workforce is no longer there. And he was like, yeah, we're not running a social activism company where we need to have teams figuring out what should go out, what's okay, what's not, censorship, all of that. I think such things can work in Western economies. I think it can work if you're the person doing it is the richest person in the world. But in our context, we should be humble. We are two bootstrap founders building a media organization in India. So if we don't acknowledge the political lines and the religious lines and the sentiments around these, which is, we are a very evolving country where still many topics are sensitive. I think we have to be able to push the boundaries but also respect them. And that's the fine balance that makes it hard. But I think that if done right can also be our moat.
True. You spoke about religion. Now, religion is a big concern in the country right now. Again, you're a Muslim, right? What have you experienced, or what have you gone through with this ever evolving space of the religious sphere of this country?
I think for me, when I hear religion, the word that registers is tradition, right? Like when I look at all the things that all the ceremonies and the activities and the special moments that I celebrate with my family or with my friends, to me, I just look at it very differently. I look at it as it's being done for generations. It brings happiness to my grandparents. It brings happiness to my parents. It gives us a social construct to connect within. Because otherwise, if we completely try to be like we're atheist and stuff like that, then it's very hard for us to have a reason to connect, and then we stop connecting. So I think celebrating culture, celebrating tradition, are the positive things about the way that I look at it. But there are many pit holes that we can get ourselves into if we don't appreciate the beauty of what is there to appreciate and start getting carried away with different kinds of social narratives around conflict of interest between religions and the negatives, the dark sides of getting too caught up with the hardcore narratives within certain religions. I think these are areas that I try to stay away from.
Right. I think another important thing to note would be that a lot of things that are spoken around religion and the religious divisiveness is mostly, again, opinion based, right? It's not there are certain fact-based things, but then at the end of the day, it's someone's thing to choose something or not choose something.
Yeah.
Right? And that opinion itself, if you're able to completely eliminate that side of it, is where, say, productivity comes in, or say positivity comes in as well.
Yeah, I think it has to do with a combination of things. It has to do with in India, we are probably the world's largest English-speaking democracy. We are a country that values education overall. But I was watching a podcast by AVTV where Varun says that he was trying to break down the astrology industry and say that astrology is different from astronomy, right? And like your horoscope and stuff like that is a very interesting breakdown of all the kind of, there's this company that I think makes 70 lakhs a day just based on digital astrology, right? So I think we're a country that values learning and education. We want to move forward, but I think we are also a country where we're not there yet. So I think it's our moral responsibility to look out for those who are still learning, who are still getting there, who are very easily trapped into these loops of hope, right? Hope is a driver. Aspiration is our biggest strength as a country. It's also our biggest weakness, because people who know how to play to other people's aspiration using the narrative of religion and astrology or any of these other things like a course that can change your life, I think it's so dangerous. It can be so harmful for our country, and I think that's why doing the right thing is really important for anyone who's trying to do something in this country.
That's a great point. Another thing that I always say to everyone I speak to, right? And again, in our context also, it's very important, is that when we look at India as a country, when we sit here and talk, right, we are talking of it from a very different perspective from what, say, the majority of the country goes through. Right, I would say we belong to like the cream of the crowd when it comes to Indian population in
Everyone
general.
we interact with on a day-to-day basis is basically the target audience.
Yes.
We are the 1%.
We are the 1%.
Right, and we really need to understand that, because the real India is so much more than that.
So much more than that, and there is so much more that has happened there, and there needs to happen there, and which we also need to understand, belonging to a we are completely disconnected from what that India is.
No, 100%. And there are little things we can do. Like at BO, I love that every time we put out a story, we at least go over it twice to make sure every word used is simple. Right? When we're doing the opposite of positioning and branding, we're like debranding, we're simplifying. And I think the brands that get scale in India are the ones that keep it really, really simple.
Interesting. You spoke about debranding. I want to talk something. Do you know about de-influencing? Have you heard of it?
Someone just told me about this the other day.
So de-influencing is basically how influencers or content creators right now focus on brand deals, on promoting brands. De-influencing is a concept where you're basically not exactly, like, you're not promoting brands, you're basically harming the brand's image, I would say.
Intentionally or unintentionally?
Intentionally.
So you're going against a brand.
You're going against a brand.
If Indigo didn't give you good service, you tweet at them.
Another good example right now is Bonvita.
Oh, that entire thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and this is a concept that is getting like very famous in the US, and it's becoming like a thing in the US.
So, bro, what's that company's name that goes and puts this stuff, shorting other companies like Adani? What's the company that? Hindenburg. So it's basically a creative version of Hindenburg.
That's very interesting. Yeah. It is.
There's always big money in shorting.
It is. So yeah, I mean.
So de-influencers get paid to shut up. So if you start attacking a brand, the brand pays you per post you don't put up. This is a good business model. We must explore it.
Interesting. But do you think that's a concept that can actually exist? Do you think that's a viable or sustainable?
I mean, right now we're asking if there's artificial general intelligence. So this though looks like a let there be every concept, because anything seems to be possible today.
Yeah. You're in the content sphere, like I think as in total between the two of us, we are at least part of 7 to 10 pieces that are created every single day, right?
You more on the front and the back, me only on the back. But yeah, I think creating content at scale, understanding content creation, distribution, these are all the things that like I am passionate about, and I know you're passionate about. And I mean, it's fun, right? Like even right now, us sitting and doing this, it just came from a conversation like, okay, the pod is going good. Let us tell our story also. Let us like show behind the scenes, what we're trying to do, why we're doing it.
Correct.
Like, why not?
Correct. But making 7 to 10 pieces in total, right? There is so much that can go wrong with it. Especially one really famous thing that's happening right now is people going and asking questions on the street.
Vox Pop
is what it's called.
I love it.
Right? And of course, Hub is heavily into it.
Inspired by Arnab Goswami. The nation wants to know. Ask the nation. Barely opinionated. Get it straight from the horse's mouth. No.
That's true. But what's happening now is that just to get that controversy going, just to get the views rolling, instigating things, these creators, even, I mean, I'm sure we have also done it at some point or the other, is we end up demeaning the person that we are talking to through the editing that we do and stuff like that.
100%, right? We've seen the amazing part of this in terms of a growth opportunity, format of content that's working, the ability to give exposure to topics and people in the community and make it about the community. There are downsides to it where, so again, it's about with any growth hack, use it sensibly, use it right, use it with respect and care. That's a framework of decision making that I think we have that bit for the most part sorted. But even then, issues come up, right? People are like, can you take this video down? That video is getting 5 million views. It's our best performing video, but 1 out of 20 people in it are like, I don't want my family to see me. Now, again, decision-making framework. Are we doing is that one video going to change our life? Is it going to change that poor individual person in the video? This has happened with us. It happened with all brands doing Vox Pop, with creators doing Vox Pop. But what I've noticed is the person who's going to be here 5 years from now decided that was not worth it. Like, let me take it down. And the people are like, stubborn, no, that's my biggest piece. Like, you're looking at it as like...
You're looking at it from a short-term perspective.
Yeah.
Interesting. Give the viewers an insight into how does a media company make money?
I will tell you when we find out. But no, I mean, I think this is something also we've been working really hard for the last year specifically, because we wanted to build out distribution with BO, with the hub, and then we wanted to understand, now that the distribution is built, how can we monetize? YouTube, I have no idea. I just don't get it. I think you would probably be able to shed some light on it. But I think our basic philosophy that has worked is use content to build a community around a cause, even if it's for a brand. Do a combination of online and online gamified activities, amplify that through good storytelling, and then find a way to repackage that and do some PR for it. Because that's the loop that brings in partners, brands, creators, the community, and it creates like a really healthy cycle of, we're trying to do something, we're using content, we're building a community, the traditional world cares about it and talks about it, so it legitimizes it, and then the cycle kind of continues. And then along the way, there are ways to monetize. We can monetize through courses, through cohorts, some things we're planning to launch. We have done a little bit of it. We have the ability to do brand integrations, if done thoughtfully. I think this is also something we're learning on some of our communities, and some we're still figuring it out. I think long term, I think what we're building is an engine, and it's going to be really valuable. 5 years, 8 years from now, I think we could look at like an acquisition or something like that, because I think in the short run, it's very, very dynamic in terms of monetization, but there's no denying the long-term value of distribution. And that's the thing that drives me the most, because whatever our monetization targets are and whatever we hit in the next 3 years, I think regardless of that, maybe we're not great salespeople, but I know the asset we're building will have a good exit.
True. And another thing that like, as bootstrapped founders and startup owners, is that we need to look at any and every way to monetize, right? At Barely Opinionated, just to give all of you insight, we do a few brand deals. We try to restrict it as much as possible, just to ensure that we are not too brand focused, right? And whenever we work with any particular brand, it's only those that can add value to our audience as well. Right? So brand deals is one. Second thing that we realized through our journey is that we are doing this for ourselves. We can also do this for other brands. Right? And that is one of our biggest
kind of like content as a service and stuff.
Content as a service, right? So it's, you either sell the content and the style and your brains that you have, or you sell your distribution. And in our case, we are doing both. Right?
Yeah, I think the areas where the thing that will not work, I know this, is getting membership and getting consumers to pay, because them giving the attention to the media asset is enough, because that distribution we then have to monetize another way. But if we try to charge people, like yesterday I subscribed to 2 Twitter subscriptions. They've just turned on subscriptions. One was Elon Musk and one was Mr. Beast. Now I wanted to do it to learn. But why would someone subscribe to create? I can understand. Maybe they have giveaways or they have like time sensitive finance content. I can understand some applications. But why would you subscribe to an NDTV on Instagram? It ain't happening. And if it's not happening for the biggest brands, very hard for a smaller brand. I think just constantly trying to monetize on the brand side and giving high quality content to the consumer is a model for India at least that...
Especially when you're looking at it from a large scale perspective, right? If you have like a very specific kind of niche, then it makes sense for you to have some sort of a subscription model. Even then, there was a recent study that I was reading which basically said that Indians are more willing to sort of sell their data, whether they know it or not. They're more willing to sell their data than they are ready to pay to save their data.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think even globally that's the case. But especially in India, like we know because we talk to everybody who's a content consumer, content maker. We don't want to pay for content, and the way we've been spoilt with Jio and with Jio Cinema and just Instagram is way bigger in India than it is in the US. In the US, people are not all hyped about Instagram.
It's about TikTok.
It's about TikTok. It's because it's free.
Yeah.
And we have free data, we have free content. You make your money. However, Reliance, you can IPO, you guys can do brand monetization, but don't ask me for money.
And Reliance, Mukesh Ambani is playing very well into it, right? With Jio Cinema and how they're streaming IPL for free.
He's built distribution, and he's built distribution for the distribution, and then he's built distribution for that distribution. He's only building ecosystems.
And if you think about it from a very strategic point of view, right? Network 18 has been with Ambani for a long time now.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact duration.
Couple of years, yeah.
I think more than a decade also, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
But recently is when he jumped into Jio Cinema, right? Because he saw that traditional media is sort of, fizzling out, and now is the time for OTT platforms.
Yeah.
That is where Jio Cinema also came in. And this is a similar disruption that he did with Jio Internet when it came in, right? By giving free internet, and most of India got access thanks to Jio. A lot of Indians got access to free internet also, and that is why we are able to use how we use it.
Yeah, I think, but when these big accelerated shifts happen, it's 90% amazing, right? We're way better off because of the distribution and penetration of internet, the availability of content, the enablement of UPI and fintech and payments and all of that. But I think rapid distribution by monopoly players can also move the market so fast that people don't know how to consume in a healthy way. Right? So if you see all the problems we're going through also now, creators are having burnout because they had to make so much content. Consumers are having burnout because they've consumed so much content. There are all these fantasy betting apps. It's like we've accelerated release into the world, and that's the fear with AI, right? So much ability is out there that how do we figure out what to consume, how to build businesses around it? It's a lot also for the consumer.
It's a lot, and that's why all consumers should follow Barely Opinionated. They shouldn't follow anything else.
I love it.
Awesome. I think that's about it. Azaan, tell the audience what is the future for Barely Opinionated.
I think the future for Barely Opinionated is collaborative. We want to know, we want to constantly keep learning and not pretend like we know what we're doing. I think we want to stay humble, we want feedback, and we want to be feedback driven. So that's why I love going through the comments on all the posts we put up, because our community really loves to tell us when they agree, when they disagree, help us fact check, because we are a small team. So I think we will never stop listening. And the one thing which I would always ask you guys for is give us more feedback, tell us what we're doing right. More importantly, tell us what we're not doing right. Help us connect us to opportunities, help us grow and be a part of this family that we're trying to build.
And be Barely Opinionated.
And don't forget to be Barely Opinionated.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Azaan. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like, subscribe, etc. etc. Thank you.